Imagine waking up tomorrow to a financial landscape utterly transformed, where a decision made in a distant boardroom has just unlocked a vault of potential that was sealed shut for decades. This is not a drill, and this is not speculation. The vault door has officially been swung open. The International Monetary Fund, the global arbiter of economic credibility, has just moved beyond mere suggestions and has given its formal, public, and unequivocal green light to Iraq's comprehensive currency reform plan. Let that reality sink in for a moment. This is the single most significant development for the Iraqi dinar in over 20 years, and it fundamentally changes the entire game from a speculative waiting room into a tangible, actionable financial process that the entire world is now obligated to watch. For years, the narrative surrounding the dinar was built on a fragile foundation of what-ifs, and maybe soon a cycle of hope fueled by guru analysis and cryptic signals from Baghdad that never seemed to materialize into anything concrete on the global stage. That entire era ended the second the IMF issued its official statement. This endorsement is the missing piece of credibility that the dinar's journey desperately needed, transforming it from a niche, high-risk asset discussed in online forums into a legitimate subject for mainstream financial analysis and institutional consideration. The IMF does not lightly attach its reputation to a nation's monetary overhaul. Its approval is a rigorous seal that signals to every central bank, every sovereign wealth fund, and every major currency trader on the planet that Iraq is now a serious participant ready to enter the global economic fold. This means the conversation is no longer about if the dinar will be reformed, but precisely how and when the process will unfold, pulling the entire saga out of the shadows of doubt and into the glaring light of international finance. The core of this reform, blessed by the IMF, targets the very heart of the dinar's historical weakness. The chaotic and manipulative disparity between the official exchange rate and the black market rate that has crippled the Iraqi economy and strangled the purchasing power of its citizens. For too long, this gap has been a source of immense profit for a select few and a source of endless frustration for the many, creating an economic environment where the true value of the currency was impossible to discern. The IMF's plan systematically dismantles this dysfunctional system. It mandates a move towards a unified market-reflective exchange rate, a move that is as painful as it is necessary. In the short term, this could lead to volatility, a period of adjustment where the market seeks its true level. But this temporary turbulence is the essential precursor to long-term stability and strength. Think of it as resetting a broken bone so it can heal correctly. The process is uncomfortable, but it is the only path to full functionality. This unification is not an isolated event. It is intrinsically linked to the much anticipated deletion of the zeros from the currency, a technical maneuver that will replace the current cumbersome banknotes with a new, streamlined currency. This is so much more than a cosmetic change. This is a strategic masterstroke designed to restore national pride, simplify daily transactions for every Iraqi, and most critically, render vast swaths of hoarded, illicit currency outside the country's borders completely worthless, effectively flushing out the speculative pressure and illegal holdings that have artificially weighed down the currency's value for years. The new currency will be integrated with advanced security features, making counterfeiting exponentially more difficult and paving the way for a more digital, transparent financial system. This entire monumental undertaking, now under the watchful eye of the IMF, is being propelled by factors far beyond the currency itself. Iraq's oil production is steadily climbing, new export routes and agreements diversifying its revenue streams and insulating it from regional instability. The World Bank and other international partners are now queuing up with development loans and investment packages, their confidence bolstered by the IMF's lead. Major infrastructure projects are moving from blueprints to construction sites, rebuilding not just roads and power grids, but the very backbone of a modern, productive economy. This creates a powerful, self-reinforcing cycle. A stronger, more stable currency attracts foreign direct investment, which builds infrastructure and diversifies the economy, which in turn generates more sustainable revenue beyond oil, which further strengthens the currency. The IMF's approval is the spark that has ignited this cycle, setting in motion a chain of events that points towards a single, inevitable conclusion. The intrinsic value of the Iraqi dinar is on a trajectory to be reassessed, not by hopeful investors, but by the brutal, unbiased mechanics of the global forex market, and all the signs indicate that this reassessment will be profoundly positive. But here is the brutal, unspoken truth that every dinar investor must now confront with clear eyes. The IMF's green light is not a magic wand that will instantly multiply your wealth overnight. It is a starting pistol that signals the beginning of the most dangerous and volatile phase in this currency's modern history, a period where fortunes will be made and lost not on rumor, but on a relentless flood of real-world data and geopolitical chess moves that will test the nerves of even the most seasoned investors. The initial euphoria you feel right now will soon be replaced by a critical, gut-wrenching question: what happens in the days and weeks immediately after such a monumental decision? The answer lies in a complex and often intimidating web of interconnected events that this IMF endorsement has just set into hyperdrive, a sequence where each domino must fall with precision for the promised future to materialize. The first and most immediate domino is the formal and highly technical process of currency redenomination, the deletion of the zeros. While it sounds like a simple accounting trick, this is a logistical undertaking of staggering complexity and immense risk. The Central Bank of Iraq must now orchestrate a flawless nationwide ballot, a carefully choreographed sequence where the old, cumbersome notes are physically withdrawn from circulation while the new, streamlined currency is distributed to every bank, every business, and every citizen across a nation still grappling with security challenges. This transition window is a period of extreme vulnerability. Any misstep, any delay, any sign of poor execution could shatter the fragile confidence the IMF has just bestowed and trigger a panic-driven sell-off or a spike in hyperinflation. This is why the IMF's ongoing supervision is not just a formality, it is a lifeline. Their technical teams are now effectively embedded within the CBI, overseeing every step to ensure this monetary heart transplant is a success. The second domino, falling in tandem, is the fierce and inevitable battle against the entrenched corruption and powerful black market forces that have feasted on the dinar's instability for 2 decades. These shadow networks, comprising warlords, militias, and sophisticated currency manipulation rings, will not simply surrender their lucrative, illicit empires. They will fight back with every tool at their disposal, from spreading disinformation to sabotage to intimidating bankers and merchants. The success of the reform, therefore, is not just an economic battle. It is a direct confrontation with some of the most powerful and dangerous non-state actors within Iraq's borders. The government's ability to win this fight, backed by newly legitimized international support, will be the ultimate test of its sovereignty and the single greatest determinant of the new dinar's stability. Your investment safety hinges on this shadow war's outcome. And then comes the third and most globally significant domino, the reaction of the international forex market. The moment the new unified exchange rate is set free to float, it will be thrown into the gladiatorial arena of the global currency traders. This is a $1 trillion-a-day market driven by algorithms, institutional sentiment, and geopolitical calculus, with no room for sentimentality or the hopes of retail investors. These traders will dissect every piece of data: Iraq's daily oil exports, its political stability index, its inflation reports, and its central bank's foreign currency reserves with cold, robotic efficiency. They will probe for any weakness, any sign that the new regime cannot be sustained. This will result in wild swings, dramatic spikes, and precipitous drops that will make your head spin. This volatility is not a sign of failure. It is the sound of the market discovering a price in real time, a necessary if terrifying baptism by fire. Navigating this phase requires a stomach of steel and an unwavering focus on the long-term fundamentals that the IMF has now validated. The key is to understand that these 3 dominoes, the technical redenomination, the war on corruption, and the market's brutal price discovery, are not sequential. They are happening all at once, creating a perfect storm of risk and opportunity. Your ability to see through this storm, to separate the signal from the noise, and to hold firm when the headlines turn negative will be what separates those who benefit from this historic reset from those who become its casualties. The comfortable, passive waiting game is over. We have now entered the active, dynamic, and utterly critical implementation phase where knowledge, patience, and strategic timing are your only reliable allies. So, this is the moment of truth that separates the dreamers from the strategists, the point where you must ask yourself the most critical question of all. With the IMF's blueprint now officially activated and the volatile implementation phase underway, what do you actually do? The answer is not to simply hope for the best, but to become the most informed, vigilant, and discerning observer of this financial transformation, because the coming months will present not one, but several distinct pathways for the dinar, and your success depends on anticipating which one becomes reality. Let's be brutally honest and map out the potential futures that lie ahead. The first and most optimistic scenario is the textbook success path. In this outcome, the currency swap is executed with remarkable efficiency. The government wins decisive battles against corruption, and global market confidence surges, leading to a strong, stable new dinar that gradually appreciates as Iraq's economy diversifies. This is the dream scenario that every investor holds in their heart. The second and more probable initial path is the turbulent ascent, This is a rocky road characterized by the very volatility we discussed, sharp devaluations during the float, political setbacks, and alarming headlines that test your resolve, but with the underlying fundamentals and international oversight keeping the overall trajectory pointing upwards over the long term. This path requires immense patience and a steadfast belief in the end goal. Then there is the third and most dangerous scenario we must all be prepared for: stalled reformation. In this outcome, political infighting paralyzes the government, corruption proves too deeply entrenched to overcome, and a loss of nerve leads to a reversal of reforms, causing the entire project to falter and the dinar to fall back into its old patterns of manipulation and stagnation. Your ability to identify which of these narratives is unfolding in real time is your single greatest asset. This is not about blind faith, it's about forensic analysis. You need to be watching for specific, tangible indicators, not just guru opinions. You must monitor the weekly bulletins from the Central Bank of Iraq, looking for transparent data on foreign currency reserves and the progress of the new currency rollout. You need to follow credible international bodies like the IMF and World Bank for their quarterly reviews of Iraq's performance. Their reports will be dry, technical, and more valuable than 1,000 excited YouTube videos. You must keep a close eye on Iraq's oil production figures and the stability of its government. Any major disruption here will directly impact the currency's stability. And crucially, you need to track the spread between any newly announced official rate and the real street level rate in Baghdad and Basra. The narrowing of that gap is the ultimate proof of concept. This is the level of diligence required now. The era of passive waiting is dead and buried. The IMF has handed Iraq the keys, but Iraq itself must now navigate the treacherous road ahead. Your role as an investor or observer has fundamentally changed. You are no longer a spectator waiting for a starting pistol. You are now a navigator in a dense fog, where every piece of verified data is a star to guide you. This journey will be fraught with disinformation, with fear-mongering designed to shake you out of your position, and with overly optimistic hype designed to lure you in at the worst possible time. Your defense against this is a relentless commitment to primary source information and context. Understanding the difference between a minor political squabble and a genuine threat to the monetary reform process is the key to maintaining your sanity and your strategy. This is about seeing the entire chessboard, not just reacting to each move of a single piece. The potential reward for getting this right is historic, but it is a reward that will be claimed only by those who are educated, patient, and strategically agile. The door to a new financial chapter for Iraq is now, finally, officially open. But the path through that door is narrow, and it will only be walked successfully by those who have done their homework. The time for vague hope is over. The time for informed, decisive action and vigilant observation has begun.